back to another week of Slinging Dirt. I'm Buddy Ray.
I'm Matt Dennis.
And we have Jacob Best and PJ Pedersen. I just got to know, which twin's older?
Well, that'd be PJ.
How much older are you?
I don't think we want to put that on here, the difference.
All right. So go ahead and formally introduce yourselves.
I'm PJ Pedersen, announcer at the Crawford County Speedway in Denison.
I'm Jacob Ducky Best from ACS in Corning.
What is your actual job title?
I work on the fair board for the track. I officiate throughout the night on race nights and just do everything I can to let fans and crews and drivers know what's going on at ACS every week.
He gets to put up with all the angry drivers coming back and chewing him out. I'm just the monkey with the microphone up in my ivory tower.
Well, I always thought, Jacob, you were like the PR marketing guy, but you know, the last 2 or 3 times I've been to Corning this year, you're always on the back straightaway holding a flag. So I'm like, is he the PR marketing guy? Is he the PR marketing / flag guy? Or is he the flag guy that does PR? I didn't know what your actual title was.
He's one of those employees that enjoys his job enough, he steps in to help promote the
He's a
racetrack.
multitasker.
Jack of all trades.
I like to do a little bit of everything. We started out, Ray Houck and Jody Maven brought it to where fans should come in and pack the track, get more fans involved. We started doing that. They had called it a mud hog. That was just something to get people there. Well, then me and the help of probably 20 other people, we got it to be a huge thing, gave it a face, and then Ray brought me in to help get on the fair board. I did that, then got into officiating and just everything else, and just being ACS being home is why I do everything I do.
Oh, well, there you go, PJ Pedersen, Ducky Best. Before we go into today's topics, the first thing that we got to talk about, Mike Nicholls.
Yeah, we got some pretty big breaking news, and by the time everybody sees this, it's going to be known for a week, but...
Hey, there's a lot of people out there that still don't know.
Well, that was huge news last night when it was first posted on the respective Facebook pages too.
Yeah, Mike Nicholls, now sponsored by Home Pride Motorsports. Good fit for the organization, you guys think?
I definitely believe, as someone who works closely with Mike, because obviously he is the president of the Crawford County Speedway Racers Association Board and also races weekly with us, I think it's a great fit because if you look at who Luke J. Cochran already has on there, you know, he's got, you know, Dennis Cook, which hopefully you're mending very quickly, Dennis. We want to see you back on the track soon. He's got Jesse Sobbing. He's got Jack Dover.
And he also picked up a flat cart out of, normally Little Sunset is where he goes, but Corey Wilson.
Yeah.
So he's got Corey on board too.
So, I mean, he doesn't do anything with guys who aren't proven winners. And, you know, with Mike Nicholls now having over 400 career wins in the stock cars alone, over 500 total career wins, it's a perfect fit.
Well, and as of right now, Nicholls is on track to have the most feature wins in the IMCA season for stock cars.
Yeah, he has actually won every feature we've had at Crawford County so far this year.
If I remember right, I think Mike Nicholls is second all-time IMCA win list.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you see? No, this is all
period.
classes.
Period.
All classes.
If I remember correctly, when he was going for his 400th, he posted that I believe it's David Murray has over 500, and that would be the number one. He's now sitting number 2.
Do you see him making a run for number 1?
Oh, well, it all depends on how much longer David Murray races. I mean, if David Murray decides to retire sometime soon, then yes. If he doesn't, I don't know, because you really don't know how much longevity, you as a driver obviously know this, how much longevity you're going to have. I mean, anything, you can have the most
season. I look at longevity by the laps.
Well, the thing is, you can have the most successful season out there, and then all of a sudden, one lap. Look at Jesse Webb, perfect example. 1 split second, something could change everything.
Yeah. How is Jesse doing, by the way?
You know, I talked to him it'll be a week after the accident. Still had a few headaches, but was doing very well. Was kind of hinting towards maybe possibly wanting to get another car. His comment was when I said, well, you know, at least you can heal. He goes, yeah, I wish the cars did. I'll be back out next week. But I think the biggest thing that's helping him through is the Thursday after he had that bad wreck. His wife gave birth to their first child, a little daughter. So Margot James Webb is the name. So congratulations
So
to...
he's probably more focused on that.
Oh, yeah. So congratulations to Jesse and Brittany, and she's adorable if you've seen pictures of her on Facebook.
No, Mike making a run for this 500. Home Pride now backing him. That may be the deciding factor too.
That's I was
Very true.
gonna mention that. You know, with Home Pride backing that, not that I don't think he had any issues in that area, but with Home Pride, you know Luke's gonna do everything possible for Mike to make that run.
Mike's definitely gonna make a charge, not only at the season record, but for the #1 spot. And it's gonna be a hard fought battle between him and Murray, as long as Murray still races. Basically, it's gonna be Mike's gotta get 2 to every one of Murray's 1 wins. And it's still gonna be a long drawn out battle, and like you said, PJ, until the day that Murray decides he's gonna retire, they're just gonna battle it out left and right. But with Home Pride coming on board, sponsorship wise, I don't think Nicholls has ever really struggled because he's always had good cars, good equipment, always come right back the next night. But with Home Pride being on board, it's gonna make it that much easier. Any sponsor is a good sponsor.
Well, let's not forget, Mike already holds some IMCA history, because since IMCA revamped the national points, he was the first guy to win a national championship by scoring a perfect 1250, getting all the points across the board. That includes bonus points, everything else you can get. Topped out at 1250 and won the national championship 2 years ago. So he's already got some IMCA history there, and now only the second person to get over 400 career wins in the same class. So 500 I don't think is going to be a problem. Like I said, getting #1, most wins ever, will depend on Murray.
Right.
Now prior to recording today's show, we were talking about things to talk about, and I totally forgot one, and you're gonna kind of giggle when you hear this. But Jacob, I gotta talk to you. Big time news coming out of Corning, Adams County Speedway. Jesse Dennis winning the $10,000 aftermarket nationals. Wow.
It was pretty surprising to see it posted on Facebook. There's been all sorts of talk, through your pits, through your grandstands, internet, about how Jesse's program has been working a little too well at ACS, whatever. Well, then this year, let alone, we watched him go out, take the trophy at I-80, go to the Iowa State Fair Speedway, win up there, and now go out, step up against some of the best that they have to offer, take the big payday and the trophy, and just show even more so that Jesse's now one of the biggest contenders in AMOD around.
Oh, I've seen him go out to ID Speedway and pull some magical stuff. When we were down there at Corning on June 25th, I believe it was, he spun out going into turn 1, because I remember looking at you and go, Jesse Dennis just spun out. Who won that night? Jesse Dennis. And did it in very commanding fashion.
He did it with Dennis style, is the way that we put it down at Corning.
Yeah. So explain the Dennis style, because that's the first time I'd heard that moniker. What is Dennis style?
Jesse's been racing since I think we were in high school down there. I believe Jesse was just a year behind me in school. He's been at the track. A bunch of our friends grew up there, racing there. And their crew will do anything necessary to put a win on the table. Their shop is a few blocks away from the track. We've seen it to where they run up, have to go get parts, come back to the track, and the family atmosphere is still there, because if you have a driver that really gets the car hurt at the track, everybody walks down to the pit, hey, can I help? Can I hand you wrenches? And you do what you need to do. And we've seen that a lot this year.
The one thing I've noticed with Jesse, last year was the first time I'd ever got to meet Jesse out at ID Speedway. A lot of these big name drivers, they come with success. They're good. That's why they have it. Well, but they have the success because they're good. But you can get a little bit of that ego, arrogance about you. But when you win as much as some of these big name guys do, I think you can have that. Jesse, I didn't feel like that with. I walked up to Jesse and he was just as laid back and would talk to anything and everybody, and kind of soft-spoken almost in some ways.
Well, I talked to Jesse a few weeks ago after the races, got some time to get away, and the one thing that impresses me the most about Jesse and their racing program is that it doesn't matter who comes down to the track. He'll go and talk to competitors from his class, other class, but Jesse wants to beat the best that we have to offer, the best the area has to offer, which is why they've traveled out, went to other tracks, went to the big specials. Maybe you don't win, but at least you go down swinging and trying.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a true statement that everybody says all the time. If you want to beat the best, you have to race with the best. Whether it be at your local track or you got to go travel around a little bit and find them. The only way to beat them is to race.
We've had some of the greats come down to Corning so far this year. The year's just half over. We got Jesse Sobbing, another home pride name drop there to come down and race.
Yeah, and actually, the last night Jesse Sobbing was down there, Jesse Dennis beat him.
Just right.
I was actually there that night.
Yeah.
The two closest races that we've seen with Jesse Dennis this year is when Jesse Sobbing came down and ran with him, and who was the other? Justin Zeitner came over and gave him a heck of a run. And that was the night that, with all the songer fun that we've been having this year, that I tried to get Todd Cooney to come down and bring, at that point, I was hoping he'd bring the late model and the mod. Found out the late model got hurt, and I'm like, hey, bring your mod down. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
And that's half the fun. And people seem to think that the reason that I do what I do is to get fans in the stands or to increase our car count, increase our numbers. It's really not. The fans tell me, message me, give me crap on Facebook. This is what we wish we could see. Game on. From the next day, I'll start trying to figure out how to do it in an ethical way and get everybody down there.
There's kind of a blurry line with that ethical and dirt track racing.
I like how that was put, ethical. So if I get in any hot water with the Crawford County Racers Board, I can just say, hey, I was trying to do things in an ethical way.
Ethical.
But that's why we have Buddy.
Yeah.
Him and Matt, we're just like, all right, so I can't say this on Facebook. Can you?
No, that's where we just take it directly to Songer.
Well, hey, I mean, we had the Songer Pure Romance meme contest.
I have put a couple of them in there.
I'm telling you, another thing to think about. This comes out Monday after the 9th. So this will be out right after our Songer Challenge at ACS.
Oh boy. Oh
Yeah.
boy.
I always wondered if like Jeff Wiggins' wife would show up with an adult toy. And I could just see Jeff Wiggins going up to Songer, hey, you want to do the Wiggins Wiggle?
Now that's
ethically putting it.
now that would be some candy.
And all I can say is that we all enjoy Jeff's nickname of Candyman. I'm gonna leave it there.
Songer, I could just see him walking up to Songer, hey, I got some candy, it melts in your mouth. I mean, but you'd have to know Jeff Wiggins to know why I said that. So.
Well, and that's if Songer shows up, because apparently from what I understand from Facebook, there's still people in Waco, Texas looking for his liver after this last weekend.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Somebody had put on there, it passed Bud. It probably wouldn't be too hard. So, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to keep talking to Jacob Best and PJ Pedersen here on Slinging Dirt.
Does your car smell as bad as Jamie Songer does? Come on down and we'll take care of you. Well, we're gonna scrub all your vinyl, we're gonna clean all your seats, your carpet, everything. We're gonna put a conditioner on it, make a nice shine. It's gonna last for a long, long time. Then we're gonna hit the outside of your car. We're gonna do a nice hand wash with a buff with a nice hand wax finish. Call us at 282-4339.
All right, so we're back here on Slinging Dirt. We're gonna address a topic. Matt, you and I were going to Stewart. We're doing a live feed because, man, when you go to Stewart, Nebraska, there is nothing. I mean, nothing to really look at or do. So we just did a live Facebook feed, and we're talking about low car count and crowd count. And Matt and I were talking to another driver, well-known driver. I'm not going to mention names because his Facebook doesn't need to blow up. But we came up with probably a good 40 different topics. Topics that somebody or a lot of people may not even think about. You know, let's be honest, as long as we've all been around racing, the car counts and the crowd counts are not what they were in the 80s and 90s. They're not even what they were in 2005. It's come down a lot. And there's a lot of factors that go into this. Some of the things I heard was, you know, the engine rules. I'm sorry, but I think the crate motors helped the sport. When the crate motors came out, I seen cars all of a sudden reappear. When the 604s invaded the A-mods, I thought it was a great idea for the 604s to, you know, so I think that helped.
Well, in mods and sport mods, there's a lot of people that were against it. A lot of people,
yeah.
I'll never run one of those damn motors because I can't stand them.
It's not a race engine.
And look at where 90% of those I won't do it went to.
Yep.
They're still racing.
They've at least got one in their stable, whether it's a weekly or just a backup.
You know, there's so much on my mind when it comes to this subject. I honestly don't even know where to begin. You know, I've been racing. I'm not a big time shoe or nothing like that, but I've been racing since '94, so I've seen the peaks and the valleys. I've seen the trends come and go. I think track size has got a lot to do with a lot of stuff. You know, Corning, you guys are a big half mile. Fun half mile. Oh my God, if you guys have never been to Adams County, you could stop, visit the in-laws for about 2 hours, then go down the road, have a steak at the local steakhouse, and then you'll be going into the corners. The straightaways there are so long, you have that much time. I mean, you're like, up the corner, and then it's paperclip, you know, drag race down to the other corner. Corning is a fun track, but I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years, you know, 6/10 mile you were saying is what Denison used to be.
We had the biggest dirt track in the state, and you know, it's funny because back in '89 when it reopened after decades of being closed, you know, of course it was something new, everybody was behind it, and you know, we had great fan counts through Tom Gutowski, and then when Howard Mellinger had it, and we were NASCAR at the time, you know, and everybody came because you didn't have the crates. You had all open motors, and everybody wanted to see who was the fastest. You know, they wanted to see good racing like that. But then it started to slack off after Howard lost it, and that's when the tide started. We talked about earlier, the tide changed from everybody wanting to see who was fastest to see more short track side-by-side action. That's when it started.
Crawford County, I love racing Crawford County. It carries the speed of a big half-mile track, but it feels like you're racing a smaller track like an Eagle or a US 30.
I think since Crawford County shortened up, everything's come more competitive. For
Right.
every class, not one or two, but all the classes.
The drivers, a lot of drivers may not like a lot of side-by-side. They might like being able to be out there in the open, you know, where they're not, you know, when you're out there in the open and you're racing by yourself, there's a lot less of a chance of getting stuff tore up. But the fans that go to the track, they want to see that side-by-side. And now, Corning, Jacob, has that. There is a lot of side-by-side racing at Corning, especially in the corners. You know, but when Matt and I were talking to this other driver, it seems like in the last 4 or 5 years, the general population has come around to where they want to see more short track bull ring style competition. Now, I'm not saying that every short track or every bull ring out there has got a packed stands either. I'm not saying that. But when we go to Stewart, Nebraska, and their population is 590, and they've got over 1,100 in the stands, that says something. When you go to Eagle Raceway, it's not a big half-mile track. You were there for the first time.
Yeah, it's just a hair over a quarter mile.
And the track size doesn't even have to be as small as Stewart, Nebraska, or Eagle,
No.
Ottawa, or something like that. A good 3/8 small half mile.
Stewart, Iowa is another good example too.
I mean,
You know, back when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, and hell, even the early 2000s, I liked the big half-mile tracks, and part of me still likes the big half-mile tracks because it is literally hammer down.
Oh yeah.
Go as fast as you can go. You know, when we were down there, Jacob, on the 25th, we actually brought a radar gun. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, I remember you texted me that you were.
Stupid me forgot to stop and buy batteries for the damn thing. So, you know, yeah. But, you know, we do have the radar gun. It's in the truck. We just got to stop and get batteries. I would love to see what a Jesse Dennis is doing down the straightaways.
I wonder if Jamie's got some batteries we can use.
Jamie Sommer.
Do your Pure Romance products come with batteries, or does someone, you know, have to go like Sioux City where there's a Dr. John's with a battery shop right next door?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't know.
See, he can corner the battery market too in those
Yeah.
With the side-by-side in Corning was built on the open motor. That's what they did. And back when you were having guys being competitive just due to their builder, your side-by-side racing was more in the straightaways. And you would have guys trying to squeeze 4 and 5 wide at ACS, running 2 and 3 rows deep that way. Well, the crate motor came in to be essentially a affordable way to race and to try to even out the playing field, which is good. I mean, it helps your racers out. That's also going to affect your car count too, because you can go to a crate motor and you just go to your dealership and buy it. Whereas your motor builder, which we've got a few in Corning now, not only are people going to watch your car or your driver that they know that, you know, one of our guys in Corning, Gary Nissen, he builds your motors. That's who you're going to go watch because you know he built the motor for Greg Miller. You know, we've got other builders doing the same thing. So your fans follow your chassis builders, your engine builders, you know, your tire guys, your sponsors around your car. All that affects your fan count too.
Yeah, you know, and I've had a lot of guys tell me that the crate motors have killed racing because it's hurting the small engine shops. No, I'm not going to say that I totally debunk that theory, but now, Matt, you and I have talked about this. If you've got a reputable machine shop and there's 3 or 4 of them out there that do build open motors, but guess what? They're also authorized to work on the crate engines. So at that point, if you have XYZ machine shop, talk to IMCA. See what it involves. You know, can I be a reputable machine shop where I can build, or not build, but I could work on the crate engines, kind of like Carl Chevrolet,
Right.
or Speedway Motors.
And that would be a deal where even if IMCA says no, you can't, at least what are the chances? What's the criteria that I have to meet? How often
Right.
are you going to come inspect what we're doing with the crate motors? Are you going to check every one of them that we do? Are you going to check every 10th one that we do?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a give and take. If they can get the business with IMCA, it can help them. But if they can't get the business with IMCA, you're stuck to your major dealers like Carl or Friesen or Speedway or something like that. I can see the problem. But then for the local guys, we mentioned this before, in the Council Bluffs, Omaha area, our closest place to go to fix a crate motor is either Ankeny or Friesen.
Yeah.
Ankeny with Carl or Friesen Chevrolet.
Speedway Motors, I don't know if they,
I don't know if Speedway can do it in-house or if they send it out.
right.
But they are a
and see, it's the
crate
same-
dealer, yes.
It's the same way in Crawford County because around the Denison area, you know, back in the day, we had several guys that you knew they built really kick-ass motors. Now we've got Denison Auto and Machine, we've got the Klein Boys with TNT engines, and really that's about it if you're going to get an open motor. Well, I guess there's also the Sigabarts and then Napa over in Carroll, but really it's you got, like you said, travel to Ankeny, travel out to Friesen's, travel somewhere else from there, you know, or get with one of the sponsors of the show, Crate Motor Connection, you know, and go that route.
And even Lou DeVries, I don't know if he's still doing them or not, but he used to be certified with IMCA as an IMCA official to work on them.
But see, that would be a great idea if, say, Denison Auto Machine or TNT engines decided, hey, let's go this route, let's do what we need to do and get IMCA certified, because that would bring them more business and keep them more viable.
And even if IMCA steps in and says, you know, we can only have one shop within a 60-mile radius. All right, now we're into a bidding war, or however it would play out and work on who gets to do this.
Right. You know, another issue We have a lot of issues, so we can't go into all of them.
We don't have the issue.
Here's something else I've noticed. I've talked to my own wife, has brought up a good point. I never looked at it like this. It's 95 degrees out. It's sunny. It's hot. It's humid. It's the Midwest. It is what it is. In today's world is a little bit different than what it was in the 90s. We have cell phones. We have this. We're always connected. We're always involved with something. But it's 95, hot and humid. Why do I want to go watch the racers and do this on a hot stand? What is involving me in the sport? Answer that.
And you got a very viable point there. You know, the hotter the temperatures, I don't know if you see the same thing. I'm sure you probably do. The hotter the temperatures, the less fans we have out there. You know, and for instance, the first time we had over a 90-degree day, that's the first time we had all year a low car count at Crawford County too.
Yeah, you know, I want to back up a little bit here. I remember back in 1994, I started racing. I remember specifically going to Eagle Raceway. It was hotter than sin that day. I was like, I can't believe the drivers do this.
Before I was in 3rd grade.
Well, yeah, you're young.
You still got water dripping from your ears.
Yeah. So 94, I go out there and I'm like, I can't believe it. But the stands are packed. And all the way in through the 90s, I see a lot of stands that are packed and it's hotter than sin. But that's where, once again, the public's mentality has shifted, and now it's 95 degrees. Why do I want to go sit on a hot stand, and what are they doing to include me?
Part of it is the generation change too, though.
Yeah.
You look at people in, well, our generation, I don't know about Mike.
Right, young buck here.
You know, we're the generation that back in high school, we went and detasseled corn, we went through hay. You know, a hard day's work was like you came home and you just want to fall on the couch after taking a shower. And today, a hard day's work's like, man, I don't know if I should borrow money from mom and dad or what I should do. So that's why a lot of our sport is now faced on the internet, on social media. And I get it. We all get it. We've all had fun on Facebook and everything else. But we sell a product. You know, whether people think of it that way or not, that's what we do. So it's a complete team effort. That product relies on 20 points that have to be aligned just right. Your announcer has to engage the fans. And, make sure, you know, you're shouting out at the dude in the bright green t-shirt that I can see your bald spot or whatever. Get interaction with them. Your food has to be good. Your employees have to be courteous. Your track officials, we interact with the fans when we can. I love having people come out. I hang out for 2 hours after the races, whether it's midnight or 2 a.m. I don't care. I try to be there so you can come out and say, hey, I've seen you on Facebook or whatever. Your racers, you know, you guys are the biggest thing about our sport. If you guys didn't want to drive, we would have nothing to do on Saturday.
You know, just not to cut you off there, but I had a promoter ask me one day, this is a very good question. He goes, Bud, whose job is it to promote the races? Is it the promoter's job or is it the racer's job? I was like, well, you're promoting, it's the promoter. He's like, no, nobody comes to the track to see me. Nobody's making the 30 mile, 20 mile, 50 mile, whatever, you know, however long the distance. Nobody's making that tow to come up and talk to me, the promoter. They're coming out to watch you race. They're coming out to watch Jesse Sabe race. They're coming out to watch Jordan Grabowski, Jesse Dennis, Van Eaton. They're watching you drivers. They want to come watch you drivers. You drivers are truly the promoters.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got to thinking about that. I was like, he's actually absolutely right.
But at the same time, the promoter needs to be promoting it also. Not just to rely on the drivers or the crews or the fans. It's ultimately it's a team effort between everybody.
Yeah.
Whether the driver, track official, track member, boards, whatever it is, everybody needs to work together to promote it.
And you know, like Ducky was saying about the generational change too. I remember back when I was in school, you know, Crawford County Speedway was not just a place to watch a race, it was the place to be on Friday night, to be and be seen. Now all of a sudden it's more of, well, if you're gonna come to the races nowadays, you really got to kind of be a race fan. It's getting a lot harder to get the new ones in. And to your point where you were saying about the promoter needs to be promoting as well, that's also where there's a double-edged sword with today's generation and with the internet. Because back in the day, if there was an issue, like say there was an egg, but you went up to Crawford County, you got crashed out, or track conditions may not have been favorable, and you're like, oh, I'm so pissed off, I'm never coming back here again. Where there wasn't the internet, so Rod Olson could have had a chance to get a hold of you and talk to you, get things squared away before you start going around to all the other tracks and telling the other drivers, oh, don't ever go up to Crawford County, blah, blah, blah. Now all of a sudden, you get crashed out, you get wiped out, or maybe something's not right, and you get out of that car, and within 30 seconds, it's going to be all over Facebook. Hey, don't come to Crawford County, don't come to Adams County, don't come to Yosemite Sam Speedway because of this, this, and this. That's the other big thing that the promoters and us, me as an announcer, you as someone who works with the fair board, and also as an official, that's something we're all trying to deal with to keep cars and fans at our tracks.
And with the social media aspect of it, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, that's where the racers, fans, crews, whoever, instead of picking up your phone or your tablet right away and venting on there, be smart about it. Take a second, find an official, talk to them, find a promoter, talk to them, and I'll iterate, talk to them.
You know,
Yes.
Because otherwise you get nowhere.
I gotta bring up an example. Jacob, we're down there on the 25th, having a good show. Well, we didn't look very good, but you know, Matt and I were enjoying the show down there for the Ray Howe Liberty 50. And I walked up, the officials have always been more than nice with Matt and I. Everybody's, you know, what do you need, you know, whatnot. And I'm watching a driver, I don't know who he is. I'm watching a driver scream at this infield official. I don't think the driver's smart enough to understand that this is not the guy that calls the races. This is not the guy that runs the show. So I don't know what the driver's thinking, but I'm sitting there, I'll never forget this. And he's like, cancel the races, the rain's coming. Now we all knew that there was rain coming. Yeah, the rain was in like it was like Mayetta, Kansas. We're talking 3 hours away. Now there was some garden type variety sprinkles popping up. In fact, it did sprinkle during the Ray Howe. But you know what? We waited 10 minutes and we got all the features in. No problem. It was a beautiful night. But when you go to your phone, Matt and I were watching radar the whole night like a lot of teams. There was nothing over Corning.
Yeah.
Nothing over Corning. So this rain's coming 3 hours away, but you're sitting here screaming at an official who has no power to call the races. They're just in the infield doing their prospective job. And so they got me to thinking, the negativity at the tracks.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, now I understand that we all get pissed. We all get upset. I will go so far as to say there was an issue this year where at Crawford County, I put a picture on my Facebook. I had smacked the front straightaway wall. It was one of the first 2 nights. We were doing fairly good. The track, I'm not gonna say the track was rough, but it's kind of like, I call it scabs, where it looked like big piles of tacky dirt packed down onto a dry sled base. It looked like a bunch of little anthills. It was rough for the car. But when I go out there, we all have fans. As a driver, we all have fans and sponsors. They want to see what we're doing. And so I go, you know, this is what happens when the track is rough. But then all of a sudden, I had people going, we're just trash talking the track. No, I'm not. You're taking what I read and you're taking it out of context. Not once did I say Crawford County is a pile of dog doo-doo. Not once did I say these guys are doing this or doing that. It was just a rough track. It's dirt. You could spend $1 million prepping that week's track. You ultimately have no way of 100% guaranteeing to Matt and I what we're gonna have for a track.
And it was early in the season too, and everybody knows early season, it is the worst time to try and get a track consistent because you still have moisture and frost coming up from the bottom, and it's just a pain in the butt.
But that's why our guys race dirt, and it's what we do.
Oh yeah.
Because anybody can go, well not anybody, but the idea is anybody can go out and put a car on asphalt or blacktop and go out and drive because tires are gonna grip. Dirt is a whole new game.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get. Now me, honestly, I don't like a real rough, ruddy track, but if it's got some whoop-de-doos or some little oh, I don't even know what you call it, you know, it's chunking up just a little bit. That doesn't bother me, because then the veteran drivers know how to, you know, go through that kind of stuff. Now, if you got holes big enough in the track to bury John Gotti, now we got issues. And I've been on those kind of tracks. But you know about the night that I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I remember that night very well.
But honestly, did you see me literally running the track down?
No, not at all. And I think a lot of it is perspective. And, you know, I know you've gotten it. You know, people have come up to you, whether it be drivers, crews, wives, girlfriends, which that go a couple weeks back to Songer says, you know, get about the wives and girlfriends thing.
Now hold on. The wife is behind the camera, but I'm going to tell you what. I don't mind some of the wives and girlfriends coming up and talking to me. I enjoy talking to them very much so.
But when they're coming up and screaming and hollering, I guess there was a. But you know, a lot of it is just the perspective of, I could say, you know, just you and I joke around back and forth, and I could just say, oh, Buddy Ray sucks. You know, just throwing out there. You know, I'm joking. But there are other perfect example would be your biggest fan, Connie Davis. You and Johnny Bright were having a battle back and forth of words, and initially she didn't really know about it, and she started actually getting mad and defending you, and Johnny had to back her down, like, no, we're just joking, you know, it's another.
Well, you know, but in some ways, I have to defend Connie because I think that's great for the sport.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great for the sport. And, you know, then once, you know, Connie was told, you know, these guys are just joking around, then she's more ha-ha, he-he, whatnot. You know, a lot of people think Songer and I hate each other. Nothing could be farther from the truth.
No.
Oh, Songer and I have a ton of respect for each other.
The night,
and even after last week's show, he's still friends with us. So
yeah, the night that I went down to Corning, my daughter and I, if you guys can imagine this, it was myself, these three, and Songer, and luckily enough, his son and my daughter went and played in a pile of dirt because they didn't need to hear what was being said. So if you guys have ever any questions,
You weren't slinging dirt that night.
yeah, if Buddy Ray and Songer like each other, just trust me. Come ask me. I'll give you some clues on what was said that night.
As a
we're all
driver,
friends.
this is something Matt and I have noticed here in the last few weeks. We go to Stewart. How accommodating and how nice were they? Now, part of it obviously was Slinging Dirt was there. We shot the show, but we haven't even gotten the camera out yet. And they're
not only being Slinging Dirt, but driving 4.5 hours.
Yeah,
we barely even made it into the pits before we're being waved down. Thanks for coming in. You can go park right over there. Your pit passes are over here. And with the show being there, it was do as you please, do what you please, just stay out of trouble, stay out of danger.
Yep.
But even outside of that, there was 15, 20 different drivers from the track walking up, shaking our hands, thanks for coming out. Next time you come up, bring some more drivers. And that's something you don't see at a lot of our local tracks around here.
Brad Appleton. I'm going to go into Corning here in a second because I've got something really cool to say about Corning. Brad Appleton at Blackbird Bend. This is 2004. He's on a four-wheeler, and he's going to every single driver. He's shaking their hand, specifically saying, "Hey, thanks for coming to Ottawa. Thanks for coming to Blackbird Bend." We can get paid the highest payouts, and that is nice to have. But it's just a simple fact of saying, "Hey, thanks for coming out." That the drivers will want to go back to that track. There's been times Joe Kaziski out at ID Speedway. I'll pull in, it'll be a big special, ton of cars. I'll pull in, he's like, "Bud, I got you a spot saved right here. Why don't you come on over here, we'll get you tucked into here." That makes us feel like, you know, they really want us here.
It's
now the cool
appreciation.
thing. Yeah. Now here's something cool about Corning. So the 25th we go down there. I talked to the lady in the center shed. I cannot remember her name.
The one that signs you in?
The what?
The one that signs you in?
Not in the pit shed, in the center of the track, in the infield.
Ooh, I don't know.
I want to say her name was Stephanie.
Is it the one that you got a transponder from?
Yes.
It might have been Mary that night. I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyways, we're sitting there talking and whatnot. She's actually the one that signs the checks for Slinging Dirt and stuff like that.
Mary.
Yeah, there you go. So she was really nice, you know, and the other guy was really nice and whatnot, you know, not a big deal. Well then, here it is 4 days later, guess what I get in the mail? From Adams County Speedway, I get my payout check with a note. Thank you for coming. We really appreciated you guys coming down. Here's 4 tickets for grandstand admission. Now that right there, you talk about being personable. If you go outside of racing, you go anywhere, you go to Kronk's. I'm sure you've been to Kronk's in Denison.
Oh yeah, we have the awards banquet there every year.
But when you go to Kronk's, or if you go to another restaurant down in Corning, Iowa, and they know you by name and they make you feel welcome, does that not help you go back to that business? The exact same thing is what I'm talking about here as a driver and as a crew member that's been all over the nation. When the tracks do that for the drivers, you know, that makes us want to come back to the track. Now, I do know that there's going to be promoters going, yeah, well, some of those drivers are the first ones to chew our ass out and scream at us and call us every name in the book. I understand that.
Your drivers, that's your job.
A lot of drivers don't look at it. It's customer service. You guys are buying a service to come and race the track. If you get treated like crap, you're not going to want to come back and spend your money, your family's money, your fans' money to come to the track.
Yeah.
Now I'll jump back to the social media thing. This year, I gotta say, drivers, fans, everybody has pretty much done an outstanding job with social media, internet, everything, because almost everything's been positive on the internet. It's been really neat. Anthony Fletchall, one of our hobby drivers, totaled out his car. Everybody was expecting orders. He's, you know, a regular average Joe driver, not a lot of sponsors, and it was either that night or the very next day. All he said was thanks to the safety crew, thanks to everybody that did a good job to help him get back in the pits. Drivers checked on him. Same with guys that are finishing last or first. They're talking good back and forth, making people understand why they want to get there. And drivers are even using social media right now. Their Twitters and Snapchat, right?
Snapchat, yeah.
Of, hey, we're thinking about going to Crawford County or I-80 on Friday and Harlan or Adams County Speedway on Saturday. Where do you guys want to see? And you might have fans from frickin' California telling you to go to ACS or Harlan.
Have you noticed I've done that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's fun. It gets people involved. It's been really great to see people change the way that they use Facebook this year.
The one thing I've noticed here, not to go off on a different area or subject here, we've talked about the whole live feed, Facebook live video. Here in the last couple of weeks, it almost seems like that's really kind of
Died down.
That's interesting. But did you see USAC's deal? Did you see about what USAC did?
I believe they completely banned it as well, didn't they?
Social media ban. Now, with that being said, what I think they're doing is if you go out on Facebook, let's say Crawford County or Corning or a USAC sanctioned track, we're like, oh, I can't believe Jacob Ducky Best did this, that pile of crap did this. Now the driver can get fined.
Right.
They're doing kind of like what NASCAR's doing.
They did a total social media ban, positive or negative.
Yeah.
And if it's negative, whether it be a crew member, a family member, a fan in the stands, a driver,
That driver gets.
the driver themselves is the one that takes the punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, hold your thoughts. Yep, we're going to be right back here on Sling and Dirt because this conversation isn't over yet. So there's a lot of topics to talk about. So we'll be right back here on Sling and Dirt.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff with DriveDirtCars.com. Does your current race operation look like this? Well, if it does, give us a call at 815-990-2657. We're actually financing Harris Race Cars and CMC Crate Motor Connection crate motors for your racing operation. Our payments range anywhere from $200 to $350 a month. If you'd like to get a new motor or you'd like to get a new chassis, give us a call, 815-990-2657.
All right, welcome back to Slinging Dirt. Now, where were we right before commercial break? You know, it's kind of funny about racers and people involved in racing. The camera might stop, but we don't shut up.
No, we don't.
No.
The talk was with the fan count and the car count and all that. The thing that I wanted to touch on was that with Corning, or well, any dirt track for that matter, you know, there's the talk of the negative publicity on Facebook and Twitter and whatever. But in all reality, if you think about it, anybody involved in racing, it doesn't matter if it's drag, whatever, mud trucks, never is 6 days long. You might be so upset you ain't never going back someplace. That's Saturday night, Sunday morning. Well, by Friday, and your guys are like, you know, we're in the points lead, or we got this going on, things calm down. And this year you've seen a lot, like we were talking about how it's a lot of good things on the social media. Well, they're taking a page out of the old book, and you know, you were saying how somebody was up harping at an official that they need to rein it out, whatever. But you know what? That's the way it needs to be. Don't put it on Facebook. Come yell at somebody. If that makes you feel better and you don't want to get in a fist fight, man, come yell at me. I don't care. And it's the same as anybody else.
You know,
Get it out of your system. Talk about it like an adult. If you gotta yell, you gotta yell. And then everybody gets over it and you come back the next week.
you know, with social media and drivers, we were talking about this before we started shooting the show, and you and I were talking about this at Corning. June 25th, there's some sport compact racers. They're all about coming to Corning. They're going to be bringing cars with them to Corning. These racers, these sport compact racers, I know for a fact, have fans that follow them. That night, I'm friends with these guys. I'm looking for them. I want to see if they can win that at Corning. They were never at Corning. There was no explanation given. They just never showed up at Corning. Drivers cannot do that. That hurts a track.
Yeah, if you say you're going to show up somewhere, at least have the decency to show up.
Well, it doesn't only hurt a track. We talked about this earlier. It also hurts a series because look at Songer's Supreme Enduro Series. Second stop up at Fort Dodge, he was told, in between the first and second one, he was approached by some guys with sport compacts who felt like they weren't going to be able to run because of the weight rule.
Yeah.
So Jamie dropped the weight rule with the promise that the main one that was talking to him was going to come with a bunch of his sport compact buddies, throw a little bit extra weight on, and compete. Well, race day comes, guess who doesn't show? And, you know, I've seen, obviously we all have seen the Facebook version of Songer. I've been lucky enough where I've seen him, you know, just normal, everyday Jamie Songer.
I do want to go off. The Songer you see on Songer Says, if you ever see Songer off camera, that's not the same Songer.
No, he's actually a very laid back guy. But that night after the Fort Dodge Enduro, he took every one of us that went up and helped him put the Enduro on out to supper. And in which, hey, free Buffalo Wild Wings, I'm not going to say no. You know,
I wouldn't say no.
We're sitting there at B-Dubs and you could just see the steam rolling off of him. He is so mad because he made this change just specifically for these guys. None of them showed. And it hurt the car count for that second stop. So it's not just, you know, coming to local tracks and bringing fans there. If you're promising, if you say you're going to do something, dang, stick to it. That's the main thing.
The reason why I think we want you to stick to it is because the fans.
Yes.
We need the fans. If Kelly Shryock, and Shryock has never done this, if he's saying that he's going to come to Corning and he's going to race a weekly show at Corning, Kelly's got a ton of fans. We all know that. And then he doesn't show, and then the next time he goes, well, we're going to go to Corning, you know, tomorrow night. Well, if I'm a Shryock fan, which I am, I like watching him run. Am I really going to take him for his word on Facebook? No. On social media? No. No, it hurts the tracks and it hurts the car counts. Jacob, if you find out Shryock's going to come to Corning, are you excited? Absolutely.
I look forward to anybody that I've never seen come to the track, or even somebody that hasn't been back.
But when someone makes a point to go out on Facebook and blow it up that they're going to come to Corning and then they don't show up, do you lose just a little bit of, I'm not going to say respect, but a little bit of, you know, I guess, well, maybe the word is respect.
I would say there's agitation because
agitation, that's good.
I'm going to be the guy that, like, as soon as Sobbing released, hey, where do we race? 5 minutes later, I was getting everybody that I had on my friends list involved going, hey, we need to get this guy to come down to our track. My worry isn't just necessarily as the track looks at it from the car saying that they're going to come, but for the driver's sake. If you had a super fan on 2 weeks ago and he sees that you're going to go race at Oskaloosa, okay? You've put it out there on the web. He's like, well, heck, I ain't been there in a long time. I'm going to go over there. Your fan or your fan and their friends and whatever drives over there and you don't show up. You've not only just been like, hey, don't worry about what I say, you've just cost your fan money or fans money. Mm-hmm. They went to see you involved in the show and looked forward to going and saying, hey, you look great on the track or whatever. As a driver, that's going to hurt you guys, doesn't it?
And see, the thing about it is, Kevin Lenz is who you're talking about. He will go pretty much all over to any race. And now, the guy doesn't have an angry bone in his body, you know.
No.
He is one of the most laid back, just nicest people that I know. You know, I've been friends with him for a while. But the thing is, if his word actually carries a lot of weight because he is the super fan he is. He's been to all these tracks. So if he goes to Oskaloosa to say, let's say, Kyle Strickler, you know, and Kyle Strickler all of a sudden decides to pull a no-show. Well, like you said, he went from Alta, Iowa to Oskaloosa and back. There, all that money, all that time. He didn't get to see the one he wanted to see, and he'll put something out, and he'll be nice about it, you know. Well, I'm disappointed Kyle couldn't make it. Well, now everybody on his friends list is going to be like, wait a minute, you know, here's this guy, nicest guy in the world, who went all that way to see Strickler, and Strickler didn't show up. Well, now that's going to affect Strickler's fan base, and like you said, they're not going to believe next time that Strickler says, "Oh, I'm coming to Corning, or I'm coming to Boone, or I'm coming to Denison."
You know, speaking about Strickler not showing up, I want to change gears, and we're going to go away from the social media a little bit. Another thing that I, and this hobby stock racer out of the Shelby County area we're talking about. Here on Facebook, probably about a month ago, I had seen somebody had mentioned, where's all the weekly racers that support the track weekly? You know, back when I was growing up, you know, Todd Van Eaton. You know, you go to Corning, you're going to see Todd Van Eaton.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you go to Corning, you're going to see Jeff James. And those are two of the probably the most, Jesse Dennis is another one. Those three drivers, I know I can go to Corning and I can count on them being there every week. You know that. But there's been a shift now where all of a sudden the guys that used to be at that track weekly are no longer at that track weekly. And, you know, guys are like, well, why could that be? And then we got to talking the specials.
I was going to say, it's not even because they don't want to be there weekly. Like you just said, so many guys can run every week, multiple times a week, without running weekly.
Yeah, because we have so many specials out there now. And you said it best, Matt. Back when we were getting into racing, well, back when you were just getting into racing, when I was already racing, a track would have usually one special. But now tracks, you know, there's a track here in the Midwest, I'm not going to name names, but they've got like 20 specials. You know, an average guy like me is going to run 20, 30 nights in a year. I have no need to you know, race Corning weekly. I have no need to go to I-80 or Denison weekly, when I could just race the specials and I got my whole season in.
I think the rules have helped that a lot, though. Your guys that, you know, the joke was always made that Corning was on an island back when I was a kid. And now everybody's trying to kind of shift, no matter what their sanction is, and try to make it to where their guys can compete with your guys and all around. So now guys are having fun and they're traveling, they're trying new tracks, and they're seeing they can still be competitive. Jeff James talked to me 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in the pits. You know, there's always good and bad about everything. But they're also having fun going to different places. I know from the Iowa standpoint, if you've lived here long enough, you know what Adventureland is. You can go to Adventureland so many times, and then all of a sudden, okay, well, hey, let's spend that extra money. Let's go down to Worlds of Fun, Oceans of Fun, Six Flags, whatever. Try something different, have a good time doing so. And a lot of the drivers are doing that now.
Well, it's good that they travel around like that.
But does it hurt the track?
I would say it probably does and doesn't. As a fan, just strictly as the fan side of it, I think it's awesome for me to be able to sit back and watch the Van Eatonville Mafia go up to, Fairmont, Minnesota, and see Buck Shafroth, a kid that I watched grow up in the car, go pull a trophy at a track that far away from home and have a good time doing it. And it's not only that, when you've got guys that are traveling together, not necessarily just because they all are the Mafia, but you see, hey, Jeff did a great job getting second, Todd got third, they had fun running together, or I know they've been traveling some other tracks and we've got other guys going. As a fan, that's neat to see. Yes, I'd love to see you at Corning, and I do. And it's neat to see that you guys can go out and go do the same thing you do here at other tracks.
Now, on the flip side of that coin, while I completely agree with what you're saying, it also does kind of hurt because it's been very well known. I know it's been on this show more than once. We have so many tracks, we're so saturated, it's hard enough to pull a car count as it is. So while, yeah, it's great to see the Van Eatonville Mafia or, some of these other guys who are going to travel, Shane DeMay go up to Wisconsin to the Cheesehead Triple Crown, that's also taking cars away from the track. And unless you're a fan of someone other than Van Eatonville Mafia or DeMay or whoever else, are you going to automatically go to the races that night, or your favorite driver's not going to be there? You know he's not going to be there. Well, maybe we should stay in for a night, or maybe do something else. So there's two sides to that coin. I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, but in my opinion, it does also.
Well, Kid Smooth has a great fan base in Denison.
Oh yeah.
Kid Smooth shows up at Crawford County, but has Kid Smooth been at every single weekly race at Crawford County?
No, and like I said, that's mainly because last week, would have been last week, he was in Wisconsin to do the Cheesehead Triple Crown swing, which I believe was 4 nights plus a practice night in there. But he wants to go do some more of that, and now he's actually able to, so he went up, so he did miss a night.
And that's one thing I've noticed with the fans at any track. They show up to watch the Buddy Ray Jones, the Jeff Wiggins, the Jamie Solomon, the Jesse Dennis.
The Dale
They don't show up
Ransons,
to watch the program, they show up to watch the driver.
Right.
Which now can come back into the drivers trying to be more interactive with the fans and get them down in the pits after the races, or go up at intermission and interact with the fans, because now they're not coming back for me, they're coming back for us.
Well, think about your venue. This is the other thing I forgot. We're talking about how hot it is. People don't want to go to the track. You've got tracks that are promoting, hey, let's give you a free bottle of water, whatever. We want to make you comfortable and have a good time. Any venue that has an outdoor spectator sport is going to have to battle Mother Nature.
Right.
Unless they've got a dome and get to like the Chili Bowl. But, like my buddy Jeremy Ribby, he's a huge Green Bay Packers fan. You've got guys going up there that are going to go no shirt, painted green, in negative 20-degree weather because back in the day Brett Favre was playing, and that's who you're there to see. And it's the same with your tracks anywhere right now. If John Hampel is going to race at Corning and he's running for the championship and you've been watching him as he's evolved through Corning, you're going to be there, you're going to have your hat, you're going to have your bottled water, money to give more, and you're going to go watch him regardless because that's what our fans do. I've never met a non-diehard dirt track fan.
Right.
But see, also with the fans being able to come into the pits afterward, they do have their favorites. If I look at a typical Friday night at Crawford County, there are a few here and a few there, but there are mainly, where the big crowds are going to be. Down by the Stapleton trailer. There's some that are over by Mike Nicholls' trailer. There's a bunch over by
Chris Abelson.
Well, I'm getting to that one. Over by Kevin Bruck and Jeff Fink, there's a big crowd, and the Mobile Valley Missile Jason Cole, there's a big crowd over there. The biggest crowd is going to be down by Shane DeMay, Jake Sacco, and Chris Abelson, because that is Partyville. Everybody wants to go down there, wants to talk to those guys, wants to see them, and if those guys, even one of those guys, don't show up for a night, then I guarantee there's not going to be nearly as many people there because not nearly as many people showed up to watch races.
So what do the tracks do? Loaded question. What do the tracks do to ensure that those guys are there?
I think we've gone over a lot of it so far. A big thing is the hospitality aspect of it. You want to make sure that your drivers and your crew's fans all feel wanted. Real quick off story, I went 2 weeks ago to US 30 Speedway for the first time ever. Never been there before. I figured, well, Mike Nicholls is going for his 400th win. I know he's not going to wait to come home to Denison to do it, so I want to be out there for history. I contacted you to get some information. What time do they start?
Yep.
What time? You got me in a group message with Mary Lincoln Melcher, owner of US 30 Speedway, and between the two of you, that actually made my decision. Well, okay, let's go out there. At the time, Mary didn't know I was definitely coming. I hadn't even made the decision until the last minute. Went 3 hours out there. By the time I got there, the red carpet had already been laid out for me. My ticket was comped in. Went up and I believe it's Alana that runs the concession stand, introduced me to James, their main announcer, along with Anthony Ainsley.
Jimmy Scott.
Yep. And now I was just going out there to watch history. No, they had me up in the booth. Me and Anthony called both the stock car heats. Me and Jimmy called the feature. The last 2 laps when we knew Nicholls was going to do it, Jimmy puts his mic down, taps me on the shoulder, says, "He's your boy, bring him home." So by going there, I actually got to call Mike Nicholls' last 2 laps for his 400th victory. But the hospitality, there are other tracks that would be like, well, no, okay, you're here as a fan, give us your money, go sit, go watch. They laid out the red carpet. They did the same thing for our track photographer, Dave Schrader. He got his camera stolen. Mary put in $50 and told him, anytime you want to come out here, everything's taken care of. It's hospitality like that that's going to keep drivers coming back. Rod Olson, he's constantly walking around the pits in Denison, Alta, and
Yes, he is.
Park Jeff. He's constantly out there coming up to the driver. And I think a lot of he is a former driver. What's going on, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. That's going to make you guys feel wanted. You guys, that night I come down to Corning was an amazing experience too.
Well, so far this year, I've had the shock of the season was when Todd Fisher showed up at ACS for Pro Stock Driver Appreciation Night. I saw his car and I was having a conversation and totally just saw the orange and white and said some stuff I shouldn't have and shocked. And I was trying to find him. I know what he looks like. And I couldn't find him. I swear that's his car. And I couldn't see the bottom runner where it said Fisher. And so we get in the pits and I'm driving around and I pull up there and he was just kind of giving me the smirk. Todd had a questionable experience last season, never coming back. And I said, hey, I appreciate you coming down to one time. So he's there again. I was like, you really came down tonight? He's like, yeah, we had some friends coming down and we wanted to give it a shot. And he's like, here's some shirts to give away in the grandstands. And I just thanked him a ton for coming down and giving us another shot. And I told him, hey, if you can't make it down the rest of the year, I don't care, man. Thanks for coming one night and showing your fans from up around Des Moines that the Iowa State Fair Speedway feature winner can come run with us. Well, and that's the flip side of the hospitality. I went and I thanked another driver that I'd never seen at the track there that night. And I got thank you for, and he cut me off. And you don't have to kiss my fanny, blah, 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 blah. I'm just here to race. And I was like, okay. And there happened to be another guy that had been there once or twice. And I was like, you don't know who I am. I'm the backstretch guy. But go ask so-and-so about what I do. And by the end of the night, the guy came over and he's like, man, I'm sorry. He's like, a couple tracks you go to, just because you're the new guy, they'll kiss your tail. And see if you'll stay there. Well, that's not what we do, and that's not what you guys do at Crawford.
God, no.
I don't care if you're there for the first time in your entire career, or who's somebody I don't get to say a whole lot about anymore. TJ Patterson, he's one of our young guys in the A line. Taking the time to thank him for coming over. Maybe he's not a feature winner, but he is just as important as that guy that went and pulled 4 hours away. Everybody is on the same field once the green flag drops. And everybody needs to know that they're appreciated. Your fans and drivers alike.
And something else that I've heard the last few weeks, and there's a very well-known driver in the area, and he was running Shelby County Speedway. He had an instance a couple weeks ago, and he told him flat out, if you're not going to make a fair call, you don't have to make a call on me because I'm not gonna return. I mean, something happened at the track, and I got into detail with him on it, but basically person A and person B did the same thing to each other. Well, person A got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
He's the one that got the flag. Person B, they didn't even notice it happened. And he told the track flat out, he says, if you can't make a fair call, you don't have to worry about me, and anybody that runs with me is probably not coming back with me either.
Well, and you know, talking about going back to the hospitality part of it, tracks need to take care of drivers even if it's not from their own track. Perfect example is within 1 month, Frontier Motorsports Park in Fort Dodge closed down. The day after Songers Enduro, don't know if that's intertwined or not, but you know, just kidding, Jamie. We all know it's not. But and then close to a month later, Blackbird Bend shuts down after only 2 weeks. So Rod and the board said, hey, we don't care if we get one guy down here for one night or we get a bunch of them for the rest of the season. The ones that paid their registration for both tracks are honoring their registrations the rest of the year. And we have gotten a few cars that have come in once or twice, but they paid the good money to register for these 2 tracks. The tracks are now not running. They're out that money. Well, why not give them a chance if they want to come once or twice or maybe come the rest of the year? Hey, you already paid your money. We're not going to make you double register. Come run with us, you know?
Right.
But with your instance, I will say this, and I've learned a lot over the last few years. Every track has the main guy or lady to deal with. That's who makes the call. With us this year at ACS, it's Jim Wilson. He's our chief racer. The most that we can ask as parts of the track and fans of dirt track racing is always remember, it's not the track that's making the call that you're upset with or you don't agree with. You're gonna be upset because something happened. I fully get that, and everybody needs to be an adult about it, make your own decision. Go talk to them, know that they're the one in charge, and remember, even if it's that you come back 4 weeks later, that there's a lot of people that are not in behind the camera like me and PJ and you guys that put in a ton of work because we love watching what you guys do and having you come to the track either once or all season long.
Make sure, you know, Songer has what he calls the Madden rule. Him and Corey Madden had issues one time. They got into it. Well, they decided, you know, go to the trailer for a half hour, cool off, get your head back straight, and then come back out. Well, I think the drivers need to go with that. The fans need to go with that because they're going to attack the first person that they see in the grandstands. Not my call. Don't attack the announcer, please. The monkey with the microphone will call you out. But anyway, the thing is, get your head on straight and then find out who the main person is you need to talk to. Whether it's Ducky on the backstretch or one of the corner guys or maybe the front stretch guy made the call or, you know, the flagman because the promoter couldn't see or the race director couldn't see it at the time. Find out who you need to talk to. And if you don't get satisfaction from them, then go talk. Talk like you said, not yell at, scream at, you know, like talk to the race director. I remember one time, I believe it was 2013, we had one driver who was still in his uniform, not you, buddy, it's not you. No, it's not you. In his fire suit and helmet, who had our racers board president, who was making no calls at the time, was not a track official, had him just reading him the riot act, pointing and poking him in the chest, screeching and screaming at him. And I watched this because at the time I was security up in the stands for 45 minutes. He was just reading him the riot act before he finally walked away.
I'd have been kind of sad as the guy being held up. It's hard to hear you guys talking through a helmet.
I'm telling you. But you know what? We can't understand what you're saying, so that's when they've never sounded better.
Well, you made it in 45 minutes.
What's even
Okay,
better?
I'm sorry.
What I always find funny is when the drivers start going fisticuffs with each other and they're hitting each other and they got their helmets on and I'm like, man, doesn't that hurt your hand? I mean, you know, but it's kind of funny. I had to chuckle a little bit. You mentioned Jamie Songer and his head on straight in the same sentence. I mean,
That was unintentional because, okay, but remember, it was two separate topics. There was Jamie Songer's topic and then have your head on straight. Because we all know Jamie Songer doesn't have his head on straight.
Well, he doesn't have his liver on either.
And if you've seen the pictures of the wraps and the cars in Texas he was down there with.
Thank you to Justin Nearing's wife, because that has given us your purchase for the Super Nats last year has given us hours of entertainment, hours of memes, and now has made it on to a wrap on the Enduro car that Jamie drove.
That was awesome. I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to go back, talk to our sponsors a little bit. I want to thank Jacob. I think he, if I'm not mistaken, right, you might actually have to be getting going. PJ, you're stuck here for a while. So, but Jacob, thanks for coming on the show.
And because of you guys, I will say this. Anybody that comes over to ACS after this airs, so it'd be, Saturday the 16th?
Something like that.
Ish.
If you come back to the backstretch and can tell me who you saw me with on Slinging Dirt, I'm going to give you 2 free passes.
There you go.
And mind you, this whole thing started because everybody kept telling Ducky that we could be twins.
A little bit.
A little bit.
So, well, thanks for coming on, Jacob. PJ, you're still stuck with us, so.
That's fine.
We're going to be right back here after this break.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. Come to Joe's to experience speed, join the competition, and ride the fastest indoor track around. Our professionally designed indoor karting track is perfect for arrive and drive racing, race classes, and racing competitions. We offer affordable pricing options, membership packages, event outings, and so much more. Stop in today to get registered for your next race, and don't forget to like us on Facebook for deals, giveaways, and more. Visit us online at joeskarting.com.
Well, welcome back to Slinging Dirt. Now, PJ, you're still here. Ducky, he had to get going. I think his wife was like, come on, let's go.
She's like, oh my God, you brought me around these idiots? Let's get out of here.
Yeah. You know, with the whole low car count, crowd count, I mean, we honestly could sit here all day. All day.
It could be about 5 episodes and still not hardly scratch the surface.
Yeah, we did scratch the surface with what you guys seen a few minutes ago, but we need to end the show here. So, ending the show, there is not a Songer Says.
Are you kidding me?
Well, no, but, you know, Songer is AWOL somewhere in Texas chasing his liver down. I mean, if you ever go to Songer's Facebook page, I mean, look at these pictures of Songer.
Oh
Just look at these pictures of Songer. And this just tells the story all in itself. I mean, right here we got one of him, head back, mouth open. We got another one right here where it looked like he had way too much fun with the T9000 Songer.
Well,
I mean,
here's the one where he's laying in the bushes taking a nap for some reason.
yeah, we don't know what's going on there. I mean, so Songer's pretty high strung. He's been doing a really good job with that Supreme Enduro.
Oh God, yes.
So he's worked really hard. Him and Andrew Berg, they couldn't get us a Songer Says, so we will give him a week off. But that doesn't mean that we're not posting these pictures, having fun with them. I mean, so he's still a part of the show, but viewer discretion be advised because these things are scary looking.
Well, and real quick, not only he's doing a great job, but Twana's involved, he's got the kids involved, and he has a traveling bunch that goes with him. I mean, I've been able to announce one. It sounds like I might be doing one, if not the last 2, announcing. And I mean, these things are extremely well put together, you know, and you guys can literally bring about anything. He's got the rules up. You guys need to come out and try this. This is amazing.
Honestly, if I had a Sport Compact, I know he's made that rule change. None of them have showed up. But if I had a Sport Compact that I could run, I'd go run one of his Enduro series. I think it'd be a blast. I've always wanted to race an Enduro. My dad, that's where he started back in the 80s. And I've always wanted to, you know, you and I have talked, I've always wanted to run a Sport Compact. We have talked. Does Joe have a Sport Compact?
Yeah, we're still looking for a head for our motor, but you know, I remember one time when we first got our first compact, we gave you the offer and you said, no, I'm scared of it. It's got too much power for me.
Right, okay.
No, that came out of your mouth.
No. So, big race is coming up. biggest race in the state of Nebraska, the Silver Dollar Nationals.
Yes.
I've been watching the late model guys. My money's on Jonathan Davenport.
You'd be, at this point, would be stupid to bet against that. He has just, last year's defending Lucas Oil Late Model Series champion, the kid's simply on fire. But Jimmy Owens, the Osho, the Newport Nightmare, he started coming on lately too. He started getting his feet under him.
In Bloomquist, you cannot discredit Bloomquist. He's coming off of a win.
Depends on how much tire dope he brings with him. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Well, look, it's not that he was adding tire dope, he was just putting back into the tires what they were missing.
And that's if they even let him run the race.
Well,
because they were suspended for so many races. Those
I believe
drivers,
30
for 3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yes, 3 months. Yeah.
So if this is one of those series events where he can't race, he won't be there.
But if he does show up, he's going to be one to contend with.
He's one to contend with every time he brings that zero car off the back of the trailer.
Look, he doesn't, let's be honest, he doesn't need the zero car. He goes grocery shopping at the local Piggly Wiggly down there in the southeast. He's going to race you with the shopping cart. I mean,
yeah,
it is
exactly
what it is. But Jonathan Davenport's been just on a tear.
Oh, yeah.
And this race is going to be I-80 Speedway, July 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. They do run sport mods.
The Thursday night.
On the
we
Thursday.
won't be there for that one.
Right. We'll actually be in Knoxville for that one, but they have USMTS running. And,
Full shows both nights, I might add.
Yes.
And they have the Craftsman Series late models.
Now, here's...
Is it the Craftsman? I think Craftsman bought out the World of Outlaws, but not the, what was the Lucas Oil Late Model Series?
I thought they took over the Lucas.
No, they took over World of Outlaws. So as far as I know,
yeah.
it's still Lucas Oil Late Model Series.
Now, my favorite part of the Silver Dollar Nationals, ironically, is not the Friday-Saturday show. It's the Thursday night part, and here's why.
After you participate if you're there.
Yeah. After, the Thursday night part, that's a NASCAR Whelen All-American Series weekly points night for I-80. But after the weekly points night is done racing, they open up the track for free practice for the late models and the USMTS guys. Last year, I'm clocking them going into turn 3, 121 mile an hour.
Oh, yeah.
That's the USMTS guys. That wasn't the Lucas Oil late model guys.
Was that what that radar gun we were talking about earlier?
Yep.
You need batteries?
It had bad batteries that night.
Yeah, it had batteries that night.
But the thing is, this is what, the 4th year that
Something like that. 4th or 5th year.
And every year has had major league excitement. To this day, everybody still talks about the second one with the Reaper, Ryan Gustin, starting in the back because he didn't actually make the show. He had a provisional by winning another big show earlier that year with the MLRA series at I-80. So he made the show, started dead last, and
took the lead.
In 40 laps, had the lead, walked away from him. If it wouldn't have been getting tangled with Kyle Berg, which wasn't anybody's fault, it was a simple racing deal, but if it wouldn't have been getting caught up with him, the Reaper would have won, barring any mechanical issues, the second Silver Dollar National. People still talk about that today.
The real deal, Don O'Neill wins the first one.
Yep.
The second one was won by, it's escaped me.
Owens won the third.
He won the second one because Scott Bloomquist won back-to-back, I thought. I thought he won back-to-back.
See, I should have done my research. If we would have known we were talking about that, I would have done my research.
I couldn't tell you because I've never been.
Yeah, you're going to be impressed when you see this show. Jesse is
You
all
realize the caliber of cars I've been around?
Yeah.
It's just a race.
Yeah. Jesse Sobbing, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. This is his home track. He's going to want to make a statement.
Well, one of.
Yeah, one of the home tracks. He's going to want a statement. He's going to be really tough. If you're a diehard dirt track racing fan, you're gonna be really sorry if you miss out on the Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway.
And this is very quickly becoming a bucket list race for those. You look at the bucket list, you're looking at the World 100 and the Dream in Eldora. You're looking at the Knoxville Nationals, the Kings Royal, the Go for 50, the Topless 100. This is very, very quickly becoming one of those races up there with that caliber in a very short time.
This is going to become one of their crown jewels as they speak.
Yeah,
it very well could be, yes.
Every year they've had it, winning purse has gone up. This year it's up to $40,000 to win.
Oh yeah.
40,000. I'd have to live on a budget.
I thought you already were.
Yeah.
40,000 is more than you make in 3 years.
No, here's the thing. When he says living on a budget, he means going from ramen noodles
to macaroni.
To Kraft mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Kraft mac and cheese.
There you
go. Give us a little update on Crawford County Speedway.
We've got some really good points battles going on in our Culver Sport Compacts, our Lister Farm Supply Hobby Stocks, and of course in the class you run in, which is the Adams Motor Company Sport Mods, especially the Sport Mods. You know, I've said it all year with Doug Smith coming back, with Jake Sacco running the way he's been running. Those two are going to be stealing the show every night, and son of a gun if I haven't been right. I mean, so far...
Well, you had Caleb Kennedy.
Caleb Kennedy has... he has picked up that track in a very short time, from never really running there to running there now full-time this year. He's going to start getting in there in the mix with Smith and Sacco. The only downside is Sacco's his luck this year has been so hit and miss. It's either been checkers or wreckers, not from anything of his own accord, but just either he wins or he gets caught up in someone else's bad luck. 2 weeks ago, he flipped the car. Now, granted, he didn't do much damage, but still, I mean, it's one of those deals where it's going to come down to the end. And the biggest surprise, he's passing cars. And not only passing cars 2 weeks ago, and I saw it with these own eyes, he led a bunch of laps, and the car looked amazing. That Razor looked amazing. He led laps and ended up finishing 4th, and I think it was only because of a couple of restarts and jumping the cushion once.
I jumped that cushion in 3 and 4, it hurt.
Yeah, that's the only reason why you fell back to 4th. Otherwise, 2nd or 3rd would have definitely been yours.
Yeah. One thing about Denison I've noticed this year, they're doing these $1,000 to win shows in each one of the class. Each week, a different class gets a $1,000 to win show. We saw an amazing modified show.
The stock car was
yeah, I would have to say.
Kyle Vanover comes up from Beatrice, Nebraska, and leads up until about 3 or 4 to go, and it was the last 2 cautions that stopped him. Mike Nicholls tried everything short of getting into him, moving him up or dumping him. Didn't touch him once, but tried everything else possible to get by Vanover. At the line, it was half a car length to Vanover every time. But the thing is, Nicholls was also studying the lines Vanover was taking. So with the Delaware double file restart, Mike chooses the high side on the next to last restart.
Stole his line.
Gets by him and automatically changes his line to mimic Vanover's line. Vanover tries with the line that Nicholls was trying, and same thing with Nicholls.
Yep.
Couldn't get it done.
My favorite guy to watch in that whole race was the 66 car.
Which one? We had Mike Vondrack and we had Elijah Zevenbergen.
That guy.
Zevenbergen from Ocheiden.
Say that name.
Elijah Zevenbergen from Ocheiden is always fun to watch, no matter where he goes. Usually he's up in the north central part of the state, but when he makes his way down, he's always a blast to watch.
Well, he came from the back and finished 4th or 5th.
I believe so, yeah.
I think he finished 4th, but he was my favorite guy to watch.
With a broken left rear shock.
Yeah, with a broken left. I mean, he looked like he was dribbling a left rear about 110 mile an hour. I'm like, that's got to be a handful to contain. So, track at Denison, it's come around a lot better.
It has. There were a few little rough spots this last Friday, but the biggest problem is the beginning part of the season, moisture was coming up, and we had a little too much rain. Now we're not getting enough. And with the wind, and granted, this last week it wasn't quite as hot, but with the wind and the heat we've been having, it's hard to keep it consistent. But the track has come around a lot, and I think that's helped with a lot of the big racing. And consider we're coming down, I hate to say it, towards the end of the season already. We only have 4 more points paying shows. We have the next 2 Fridays. We're taking the 22nd off for the Nebraska 360 Series to come in for a Crawford County Fair, and because of Silver Dollar Nationals. Then we have the last Friday of July, and August 5th is it. That's our points paying race. We crown our champions in. We'll take a week off for Britt for the Night of 1,000 Stars. We have our Denny Hovingay show on the 19th of August, and then other than a practice session that's scheduled, we're done to October 1st for Oktoberfest.
Right. If I remember right, wasn't there an off week in there in August? Like there's a week after the August 5th show in case of a rain out or something like that. I was asked about that.
Well, it says on the schedule August 5th, season championships rain out ? And I think that's more for any sponsors who have lost a night. You know, we're going to put them in there that night, which we've only lost one. We lost the first Adams Motor Company night. Otherwise, the following week, we purposely took off because, as we talked about the last time I was on here, you know, we've been working with Joe Kaziski at I-80. And this time I remember the name, Joe Ringsdorf from Britt. I couldn't remember his name last time. Sorry, Joe. But we're taking the night after our season championship off because that's the weekend of Night of 1,000 Stars, Night of 10,000 Stars up in Britt. Okay. And we want our guys to go up there and have every chance to get that big money. And it is big money both nights up there.
Right. Well, I tell you what, that's about all we got for Slinging Dirt this week. We're going to be right back here on YouTube next week. Look forward to seeing y'all, so we'll catch you on the flip side.
And there will be a Songer Says next week, hopefully.
Yes.
If he finds his liver.
If he finds his liver.
If you're in Waco, look for it.
Yep. We'll see you next time.